I am here for a summer school in Anthropocene schools in Tumen, and first of all let me uh, tell about my background. Actually, I was born and brought up in the Indian Himalayan villages. This is a small town known as Bhadrawa in Jammu and Kashmir region of India. It's situated in the western Himalayas. So, I spent almost 20 years of my age there, and then I moved forward for the higher education in Banaras Hindu University. And regarding the issues of climate change, I my interest towards the climate change and environment, as I belong to a farmer family and a shepherd family. So, we peoples are very much near to the environment and climate change. If there is climate change happens, they firstly impact to us, because we live in the higher region of the Indian Himalayas, and where if there is some extreme weather events, they will badly affect us. If there is a melting in the glaciers, they will badly affect us. That is my whole background, my personal background. And regarding my education qualifications, I have completed my PhD from Indian Institute of Technology in environmental chemistry, and then I start working as a permanent faculty in University of Delhi, and in the University of Delhi I teach environmental studies, environmental awareness, circular economy, and these are my common interests. Regarding the interest to the Indian Himalayan regions and the climate change, recently, as my wife is from the another part of the Indian Himalaya, she is from the Assam, and she is working as a researcher in Europe. And mostly we think about what can we do for our local peoples, how can we contribute. So, we design a project and start working on the Indian Himalayan regions, right from the Jammu and Kashmir to northeastern region of the India, that is as Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, and these regions. Then we start documenting the indigenous technical knowledge, what the problems people are facing in their agricultural products, in their livelihood, in the water scarcity, water resources. And during our field visit, mostly in the Chenab Valley of Jammu and Kashmir in India, what we found that earlier there is means paddy fields in the mountain regions, the paddy field, but now these are the barren land. Nobody is going to cultivate the paddy in that regions. Then I ask them the questions, what is the reason behind this? Why you people are not growing the paddy in this area? And many farmers told us that there is a scarcity of water, because the glaciers in the upper area, they melt earlier, and they did not get the water till they are going to harvest, means they are going to grow the paddy in that particular season. And then we move forward to our studies. We ask the peoples how they live with the natures, how they are working with the natures, and we find some very interesting facts about the local peoples, about the nomadic communities. Basically, there is a nomadic community in the Gadi community, and we study them a lot. We study their track with their herds. They migrate from the lower regions of the Himalaya to the upper regions of the Himalayas during the summer and winter. They migrate from the various places. Then some very much interesting fact we accumulate from this our survey. There's some these herders, Gadi community peoples told us that there's a lot of changes in their track due to the melting of glaciers. They did not use the word as a climate change, because they are not much aware about the scientific terms that there is a climate change, but they told us that there is something change which melt the glaciers, and by the melting of the glaciers we have to change our track, or our track will be increased. These changes, these are not changes regarding the livelihood of the people's stock herd stocks which they are rearing. But when we survey regarding the agricultural production, agriculture activities, some production of some grains, production of there's some special varieties like beans, and we found that the production is decreased manifolds, and in some villages the variety is not able to grow properly as they grow it earlier. Yield is very good earlier, but now there is very less yield. There is a highly decline in the yield of some varieties like kidney beans, bean, and some maize varieties, also some paddy varieties in the Indian Himalayas. So, what we think, in the present era of global climate change, Himalaya as a whole region is a very fragile ecosystem. What we are doing in our metro cities across the globe, we are producing more carbons for the luxury of our life, and the major impact we face in the Himalayan regions, particularly in India. I will tell you many cases from the recent past where there is a natural calamities like flash flood and heavy rainfall, landslide. Sometimes there is a heavy snow, sometimes there is no rain, no snow, and these are the extreme weather events. There are n number of extreme weather events in the Himalayan regions in the past 4 to 5 years, and sometimes the people confuse about the climate change. If you tell them there is a climate change, they say, oh, this time we have the huge snow and next time there is no snow. Means there is a shift in their climate, and people have no clue what is happening there. And if you see in the last some studies, means we find some findings that from the last 5 to 10 years there is no snowfall, but this year there is a heavy snowfall, and this is also the climate change conditions, that there is no proper patterns, no proper means temperature patterns, and everything is changing very fast. So I think we should take the step towards the abatement of climate change, because people are suffering mostly in the Himalayan regions, and it's not about the Himalayan regions, and slowly the whole across the globe, across the countries, people are suffering from the issues of the global climate change, and these things means create our interest to study the climate change in the Indian Himalayan regions. And another very most important thing is that in Himalayan regions, in the region of Jammu and Kashmir and the northeast India, there is very much not much research occur in these regions. If you see the bibliometric analysis on the Scopus, Web of Science, you don't see much papers from these regions on the climate change, indigenous knowledge, indigenous technical knowledge, means how the local work with the natures. You find less literatures on this area. The reason behind this area is that this area is not access to everybody due to some local conflicts, and some international conflicts among the societies and something, and mostly people are avoided to study this area. And we both, me and my wife, have access to the larger part of the Himalayas, as we are native of the two different states, and we know the local language. We question the people in the local language and then translate into the English, and both in Jammu and Kashmir and Assam also, and that is the motivations behind to work on the Indian Himalayas and the climate related issues. This means India as a country, if you see India as a country, there is a lot of problem related to the pollution. If you see, all the major Indian rivers are polluted, and almost we finish all our water resources in the major metro cities. This is a recent report from the government of India, that in the near futures most of the Indian cities there is a scarcity of water, groundwater is depleting very fast, and there is a pollution from the industries, pollution from the vehicles. As you see, that in winters there is a lot of air pollution in Delhi. Normally the various media houses say that Delhi as a gas chamber, and the environment, humanities and the environmental science is not the subject for the only few pupils like who are teaching chemistry, biology, geology, but we should aware the pupils at every levels. Yeah, it is a multidisciplinary subject. Suppose I will give you example. You are talking about the global climate change, and then some student ask you a question, because students are very curious about asking the questions that earlier what it really happens. Then we should know the historical fact, means what's the environmental history, what the history of this thing, and we go through the historical facts of the changes that happens in nowadays, and how the changes are different from the changes which happened in earlier. That's why if you are going to study the environmental humanities, then we need expert from the various subject like history, environmental history, physics, chemistry, biology. This is not only that the biological sciences will take care of this environment, but in my personal opinion, it is a multidisciplinary subjects where the people from the humanities, people from the social sciences can contribute much more than the people who are working in the chemistry lab, who are working the chemistry issues, chemical issues of the environment, air pollution abatement. Because public awareness regarding the pollution, regarding the problem is one of the major factor. If we are able to aware the public about the problem of environmental pollution, problem of global climate change, then we will able to solve the problems, because people are going to change their habits. Suppose if you are going to let me give the example of suppose electronic waste. For the management of the electronic waste, we need a pupils from the different backgrounds. We need a people from engineering backgrounds who can tell us about the engineering of the waste, electronic waste, recycling of the electronic waste. We need a pupils from the economics who can calculate the economic value of the waste, cost benefit, who can do the cost benefit analysis. We can need a pupils from the humanities in environmental science who study the disposal behavior of the people, because we can do everything. We can means calculate the pollution content, we can calculate the leaching of the heavy metals, how much heavy material released from the electronic waste, all this. But at the end of the day, we need the pupils who change the behavior, who study the behaviors and give some means policy level suggestions to tackle the problems. Yeah, so that we can handle the problem easily. That's why in India particularly, we need the people in this field, mostly from the humanities, from the environmental historians, to teach the student about the reality, about the past of environment, what is happening there. And if we means understand our past of the environment, then it is able to easily able to understand what presently going on and what will be the future. How can we measure these things, how can we change our life, means like sustainable consumptions, how can we consume the less product like that. So these are very important, and I think in Indian's education system we need a more focus on environment, on climate change, on other issues related to the global climate. If you see in the present era of global climate change and the Anthropocene, we need collaborations between different subjects, because I earlier mentioned that climate change or environmental issues or global warming is not the responsibility for one discipline. And if you really tackle this problem of global climate change, you need a collaborations between the various disciplines, across the discipline. Likewise, if you really want to give the perfect solutions, then you take and mention each and every parameters like the human behavior, environment, biodiversity, pollution, soil, air, water, glaciers, and for the study of all these components, we need the people from the different disciplines like geographer, geologist, botany persons, the persons who can understand the behaviors of the wild animals, how they are behaving regarding this era of global climate change. We need a persons who can estimate the concentration of pollutants in our water bodies, in soil, in air. Mostly these are the chemistry persons, and we need some solutions at the pollution level. So we need some engineers, biologists, microbiologists, and if you see all these disciplines, at the end of this story, we need the social scientists who motivate pupils, who aware people, who study the behavior of the peoples towards the climate change. So we need a strong collaborations among all these disciplines to tackle the current problem of global climate change. If you are talking about the collaborations between India and Russia, I think we have a lot of potential to collaborate the issues of global climate change at every levels. Every level means we can collaborate at the natural science levels, we can collaborate on the social science levels to understand the problem of the people, because global climate change is not a local problem, it is a global problem. If we are going to solve these problems, we should collaborate, we should act, means we should act on the problems, and then we will be able to find some solution regarding these problems. And India and mostly the Siberian part of Russia has some common like climatic conditions, like some natural canopy structures, forest type, and there is a huge potentials between these two countries to collaborate, study and find some solutions for the climate change for the peoples who are staying mostly in the temperate zones, like in India these Himalayan regions, and mostly these people are facing similar kind of problems like floods, huge snowfall, sometimes less snowfall, sometimes extreme weather events, and similar type of problems. As I am aware by this summer school, people are sharing their experience that in these regions they are also facing such regions. So we can collaborate, so we can work and find some solution for at the global levels. It's not the local levels, but we should find the solutions from the global levels to tackle all these problems. See, presently I think environment is not the issue for the student, for teachers or peoples who are interesting. I think every people should take the interest in the environmental issues, because if you are not taking the interest, we are not tackling with the problems, not thinking about the problems, we are not able to solve these environmental issues at the broader scales. And regarding the books, I suggest to my students to read the book Silent Spring, which is I in my opinion is the basic book regarding the environment and society, which are closely related to society. And another book I always suggest, there is a report I always suggest to my students about the sustainable development. Is the Brundtland report, is our common future, our common futures, and they should go, every people should go these two books and read them and understand them, and understand the social and relation between the nature and the society, how they are behaving and thinking about the present situations of the global climate change, and not only at the local levels but at the global levels. If this is a global issue and we should think globally and we should tackle this problem at the global level. It's not the work of any one country, responsibility of any one country or any one individuals, anyone disciplined to work on the global climate change, but I think every people should participate regarding the issues of global climate change, environmental crisis, extreme weather events. That's very important. See, when I earlier prepared for this summer school, first I think that it may be the very cold region, but when I came here, I saw that some people told me that in the last month, this temperature about 49 degrees Celsius. It shocked me a lot. I bring my warm jacket like shoes for which we mostly wear in the snow. But these are my perceptions about the city and Tumen. But I found here is the temperature is quite hot. It's hot for the persons who is staying in the Delhi also. And regarding the summer school, earlier as a environmental scientist, I have few perceptions that people who are from science background, natural science background, geographers and some chemists are only working for the global climate change. But here my perception is totally changed. What I found that pupils from the different background, history, anthropology, geography, and even some participants is from the literature backgrounds are also interested on the environmental issues, and they are very curious to learn the changes in the environment. They are curious to learn the environment and the society. They are curious to learn. That's a very much new thing to me, that this across the disciplines people are very much interested, and this summer school is quite interesting for me because I met lot of pupils with the different backgrounds, and I interact with them and found some interesting fact that we should work in a broader perspective. Either we are not able we are not strict to the natural science or some environmental science, some chemistry portions, but we should work at the broader levels like environmental humanities, environmental studies, environmental histories, that we can work. Thank you.